In this video, we'll be going over common mistakes I see from ranks Mighty Ruler to Fujin. If you're above or below these ranks, you can still learn, as this could serve as a refresher or something new. The first common mistake I want to talk about is how launchers are handled. I'm noticing that it's very common for launchers to be used as a form of offense. And in my experience, this issue stems from the reward that we get from getting a big launcher. We see that launching this June is netting us a high damage combo. While the reward is great, we want to make sure we're setting this up consistently. Same goes for the back 3 launcher. It is very common to see this move being used in neutral. However, this is not how we want to use this move. In order to understand why, we need to look at the downsides of using these moves. If forward 2 or back 3 whiffs, we're going to be stuck in this animation for a very long time. And if it gets blocked, we're getting launched for sure. What I've noticed, especially with newer students, is that some of these opponents are not properly block punishing this move. Then it becomes a habit that we later have to unlearn. As our opponents get better, they will properly punish this every time. The worst case scenario is that our opponent block punishes us, launches us, and then takes us to the wall. Even if they don't get the wall, you're still allowing them a full combo, in which we have to deal with the Oki situation immediately after. Here's the solution to this issue. We're going to use forward 2 and back 3 as whiff punishers only. This will guarantee the value we get from both of these launchers, and we're also using the move with intention instead of hoping the move will land. Here June whiffs back forward 2, and then we use forward 2 to whiff punish. This also exemplifies how important it is to be calm in the mid-range, because if we're pressing buttons here, we'll never have the opportunity to whiff punish our opponent. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to press a button at the mid-range, because if your opponent is just mashing and pressing buttons, all we need to do is backdash and whiff punish with forward 2, or back 3. Here is the second scenario where I'm seeing forward 2 being used a lot. For this example, we're going to use forward 2 as a form of Oki, and then we'll use back 3 as a form of Oki. And we can see in both of these examples, June is doing a wake up kick and then she's getting launched on wake up. In those examples, using those launchers are working there because our opponent is waking up with a kick. However, in every other situation when our opponent is not using a wake up kick, they block our back 3 or forward 2 and we are susceptible to getting launched. This could be anywhere from 40% to 60% of your health depending on the situation. Make sure you are avoiding this situation in your matches, as we're getting a very advantageous situation with the knockdown, but immediately throwing it away by using an unsafe launcher. The idea after a knockdown is to keep our pressure going. If we use an unsafe launcher to try and beat a wake up and we're wrong, we could end up losing the round or a big chunk of our health. So now that we understand this, let's talk about the solutions. The first thing we want to understand is to end your combos with forward 2-3 for the best Oki setup. And then we're going to prioritize using back 4 to cover wake ups. If they end up mashing, we're going to get another free combo. Using throw is a great alternative option. And using while running 1+2 is also another great option. If they don't press anything, we get a knockdown, and if they do press a button, we get a combo. Here's an example of us using while running 1+2 to Oki, getting a free combo, and getting to the wall. These 3 options are astronomically better than trying to use forward 2 or back 3 to Oki your opponent. And if they just so happen to block while running 1+2, we get to throw as a frame trap. So hopefully these tips help when it comes to using your launchers properly. Now let's move on to the second common mistakes I see in this rank grouping. I'm sure we're all familiar with the string 1-1-4, back 2-1-4, and down back 4-3, or down back 4-4-3. These are just the first moves I want to focus on. But let's look at what happens when these moves are blocked. If someone blocks 1-1-4, the sweep at the very end leaves us at -26. Almost every character in this game is going to launch you for blocking this move. And while a move like 1-1-4 is extremely telegraphed, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But what is a bad habit is seeing if this move gets blocked more than once and not adapting to it. This is the second common mistake, finishing strings but not responding when our opponent is adapting to our pressure. For example, if our opponent is ducking our last hit, we want to use our variation here. It seems very simple to just use 1-1-3 instead. However, if we don't pay attention to what our opponent is doing, we'll never actually improve on this. This same principle applies to down forward 1-2 and down back 1-2, as our opponent will not be jailed and can easily duck under this second hit. It's okay if your opponent ends up ducking this move. However, we need to adapt to see that they are ducking, otherwise we are just wasting our time. So if we see someone ducking down back 1-2, we want to make sure that we're using the variation instead. The same applies to down forward 1-2. If our opponent continually ducks this, we need to make sure we're adapting and using down forward 1-4 instead. And here's another example of us using another mid-high string. This is forward forward 2-1, and if we see our opponent continually ducking this move, we have forward forward 2-3 or forward forward 2-1+2 to beat anyone ducking. While this concept seems very straightforward, you would be surprised at how many people I see at this rank who are not adapting when their strings are not working out for them. Now we'll talk about the third common mistake that I see. This mistake is spiking near walls. It's very easy to automatically go into a spike after using your tornado, but the problem lies in the situation that happens after. To be a bit more specific, we'll see what happens to June after we use our spike. We'll spike, use forward 3+4, and we see that June does not wall splat. Now this might not seem like a big deal, however this is a huge disadvantage. Mostly because we're missing out on all that damage that we could have gotten if we actually just got to the wall. I'll demonstrate what a proper wall carry would look like here. We could use down forward 3 or while standing 1-4, and then we could run up and use 1+4 2-4. This type of routing is the most advantageous and highest damage route that we can go in this situation. And you can even see that we're taking about 50% of June's health away, and we have a very advantageous Oki situation. And when we compare this to spiking, the damage is a lot lower and our situation is a lot less advantageous. Just to drive this point home, we'll pick a stage with a wall blast and use a spike right next to it. We'll see again that June does not hit the wall and it doesn't trigger the wall blast effect. Now we'll do the combo optimally without spiking. We're going to use our tailspin and then use forward forward 2-3 to wall carry. Then here I use forward forward 2-1+2, and then we spike at the very end of our combo. And I'm able to use spike properly for this combo because I know that there's no wall that we'll ever be able to get to at the end of this combo. The big takeaway here is that if there is a wall near you, do not spike. The last common mistake is letting your opponents get up for free or using improper Oki in most situations. If our opponent chooses to stay on the ground, they're susceptible to moves like down forward 3, forward 2, and down back 3. With the correct timing, this type of pressure can be infinite, but I've noticed this concept is extremely overlooked or done improperly. I stated this on this channel before, but there will never be a time where your opponent will wake up faster than you. The only exception is if you're using a move that puts you in an install, or using a throw that pushes them too far away. Otherwise, we can always pressure an option if our opponent is on the floor. The big takeaway when this is relevant is when we get a flip over situation, we want to be on top of our opponent and pressuring another option. If you're able to flip over your opponent that's grounded, do not backdash or run away. Using a throw or covering wake up kicks with back 4 are the best possible things you could be doing. Take a look at your replays and see how many times you've let your opponent get up for free. When you find these situations, use replay takeover and see what moves you can use to challenge their wake up. For example, on a simple knockdown like this, we get a flip over. But if we run away, we're losing the opportunity to challenge this wake up. If we play very active and on top of our opponent, we can use back 4 on their wake up and potentially catch any wake up kick. There are situations where it's impossible to directly challenge a wake up kick. Asuka, that's going to be her command throw, which is down forward 1+2. She throws the opponent so far away that we can't directly challenge the wake up, but we can wait for the kick and punish. Her 1+2 throw creates the same situation. We're unable to run up and directly Oki this as we don't have enough time, so it's best to just wait and punish in this scenario. That's all I have for you guys today. If you're struggling to climb up the ranks and want private coaching, click the link in the description below. And as always, have a great day guys. Want to take your Asuka to pro level? My exclusive Medify course has everything you need, each broken down in easy to follow videos. Get the course for a one-time price and get lifetime access and free updates.